And good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day. This beautiful weather we're still having in September. As you know, I'm Christopher D. Wright, the Vice Chair of the Brooklyn DD Council. With us today, Deborah Wright, Chair of the Advisory Council, and Brian from Heaven's Hands is also our Vice Chair from the Brooklyn DD Council. We welcome both. And right now we are getting ready to proceed on our scheduled meeting. Before we do start anything, I want to remind everyone we do need to follow housekeeping rules. So before we proceed, let me remind everyone that it is extremely important to please keep your microphones on muted. And I repeat that again, please keep your microphones mute. We have to keep no echoing, no interruptions during our joint meetings, especially if a speaker is speaking. We will remind everyone to please follow the procedures very carefully. If you're having on a computer, there's a hand raise. There is also a question. If you have a question, please put it into the chat. So therefore, we will keep an eye on it at the same time. So we're reminding everyone to please follow those instructions as well. So therefore, we can proceed. Remind you that you may see that it says number 13. That number is incorrect. At this moment, we have 33 in attendance. We do have a group here, which they're kept themselves anonymous. So they're there. They will be asking questions later on if they have. So our attendance number is a little higher than normal, which is good for us. So please, everyone, as we follow the housekeeping rules, we have a microphone, we have a hand raise, and we have the chat box. So you have a camera if you want to use. We have a microphone when we do identify you guys. And I thank you, everyone who's putting their name and announcements into the chat at the same time. It will go very fast and very quickly, so we can proceed. So moving on to remind everyone, please can you just use that. Before we start, we ask for a few minutes of silence due to the people who have passed away during COVID, other illnesses, and as we are aware that, yes, on the other side of the earth, yes, the Queen has passed away. We also wanted to have prayers from during the hurricanes that's going on down in the Puerto Rican and the down south area. So we ask everyone to please have a few minutes of silence. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I need a motion to waive the regular minutes. And please note the recording minutes are available on the Advisory Council's website and on the YouTube channel. Just type in either way the Bfssac or even Brooklyn Developmental Disability. It does go through. So I do need a motion if someone can unmute and please identify themselves. I'm sorry, Madam Chairs, I did not hear one of you guys. Can you repeat?
This is Brian. I make a motion.
Unmute me. Unmute me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, make a note that vice chair and chair, both motion. Thank you. First of all, I want to welcome back everyone. I hope your summer was fantastic, and I hope everyone had a great rest and refreshing moment. Right now, we don't know if Chris Trieber, are you here yet? But I think he's running a little behind. So I'm going to ask Nina, are you here? Can you give us your OPWDD update?
Yes, sure. Good morning to everyone. I hope everyone had enjoyable summer, and I'm happy to be back here today. I have a couple of updates from OPWDD. as you probably know, and we discussed that in our last meetings, that our budget this year included considerable investments in housing strategies. And we have OPWDD is working on the upcoming actions related to the housing subsidies. We are preparing in early October, OPWDD will implement several rate actions related to housing subsidies, and those would be 5.4% COLA. Okay, the second adjustment would be a housing subsidy fair markets will be increased to HUD standards. So those providers who are in self-direction and ISS providers, previously in housing subsidy providers, will see increases in reimbursement levels in the budgets. And the third change would be to the administrative fees for the housing subsidy providers and FI providers. In addition to these rate actions, the annual housing subsidy contract and ASP renewal cycle will be coming upon us. And we are expecting the housing subsidies renewals to be submitted to OPWDD from October 1st through November 15th cycle. So it will be a very busy time for us and for the agencies to put together all the renewal packets and send it to us for renewals. Okay. The other update that I wanted to mention quickly is that many of you probably heard about the new LOI, letter of intent, that went out to the providers. And this is the LOI to provide services to individuals transitioning from residential schools to adult services. We are offering funding opportunities to OPWDD authorized agencies who are in a good standing to provide residential and day services to individuals with developmental disabilities who are transitioning from the residential schools and adult services. Okay, so the LOI went out on August 31st, and we are expecting the responses. The LOI is due back on October 27. And preference will be given to the providers whose proposals include the development of residential opportunities using vacancies and housing current housing stock modifications for individuals who remain in residential schools after completing their education. Okay, so who may apply for this opportunity for this LOI? That would be any properly incorporated not-for-profit agency that is authorized to provide OPWDD waiver services and is in good standing with OPWDD. By good standing, we mean that there are no fiscal concerns. The providers are in a good fiscal standing, as well as in a good standing with OPWDD, DQI, Division of Quality Improvement Division, right? Agencies who are not on OPWDD alert, LA alert, right? And agencies that we also looking for the agencies who have the experience providing such services in supervised and supportive settings. All right. So we're expecting the feedback, as I said, again by October 27, and I hope I'm being cautiously optimistic that we will have interested agencies who will respond to the LOI. All right. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is we had a couple of the ADMs this summer that were released to the agencies. One of them was on August 11. We released the ADM number 5, associated with medication administration curriculum and the tube feeding curriculum. And the ADM was updated to improve training efficacy and increase focus on the tasks associated with medication administration and provide a more efficient and streamlined training process for the instructors. Each training and use of the standardized curriculum is required for any DSP who will be responsible for performing any of these delegated nursing tasks. This ADM will be effective in November of 2022. All right. We also last month, we were collecting public comments on several ADMs, and the feedback of the comments were due August 19, and we are finalizing and reviewing the comments of those ADM, and it will be the ADMs will be released in the weeks ahead. And those ADMs are the first one was for crisis services and billing standards for providers who are in CIDD providers. This was a revision to a published ADM. The second ADM that was circulated for public input was a new ADM. It was about certified residential opportunities. This is pretty important for the providers who deliver certified residential services to our individuals. And the last one was also a new ADM for direct provider purchased agency supported contract services delivered by providers who are not the fiscal intermediary. This was, as I said, this is a new ADM that was circulated for feedback. And this is the ADM that we will be released in coming weeks or months. Okay, so this is all for me. Do you have any questions? All right.
Nina, we're just waiting for you to finish your whole report, and then we're going to have Chris Trieber coming in to do his report, and then we're going to ask everyone to do their questions after Chris Trieber, because Chris Trieber has to leave as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'm finished.
Oh, you are finished?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, because everyone is...
Hi, good morning, Nina. It's Deborah.
Madam Chair, can you hold on a second? I need to know, is Chris Trieber here?
I'm going to smack you in the face.
Don't do that. Chris Trieber, are you here?
Getting me pit up. Stop muting me. He's not here at the moment.
Okay, Madam Chair, go ahead.
Thank you. And sorry for being inappropriate, but Nina, it's Deborah. It's very frustrating because this computer laptop, because of another committee I'm on, from WebEx messed up the computer. So I apologize for anything inappropriate. Nina, all I was asking is, first of all, thank you very much for the updated report. In reference with the families that you're having agencies to get the transitioning, when we bring our children back from residential schooling, I'd like for the advisory council to meet with you so we can also do an informational session, because a lot of times families, whether they have their child in residential or non-residential settings, don't understand the differences of when your child has to be placed residentially due to their severity of their developmental disability, and you need the best place to put them for education. And I've seen this because when I was a parent member, a lot of families used to complain to me, oh, that's not fair. Unfortunately, life's not fair, and I understand both sides, but I would like very much for us to be able to educate everybody, because they need to understand that some children need 10 more services than others. And that also includes, we do not control the Department of Ed or the state ed, but when they are to age out and come into our system, our families need to understand what are the different categories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. I understand what the programs are supposed to be, but honestly, we do need to also really also update and educate not just my advisory council, but all the other 18, because we're the ones who have to help the families walk through these tight ropes of when they go from one system to another. So,
and I completely understand. We have a dedicated staff who are working with the parents, who are, for those kids who live at home with their families, right, and need OPWDD services, right? The LOI that I was talking about is for those who are in residential schools outside of New York State or inside of the state. Usually this is a group of kids who with the most behavioral medical issues, right? And the LOI is intended for those who are transitioning from the residential schools, right? I see that Lucy is on the phone, and Lucy, and I don't want to put you in the spot. And can you, Lucy, do you hear me? No, she doesn't.
Yes. Hello, good morning. I'm not really, the audio is not so clear, Nina. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about.
Right. Deborah, we can talk about us offline on the process,
Sure.
on if parents have questions about for children who are residing at home and need OPWDD services, right? So it would be a slightly different process.
but Nina, being I was a parent member for families whose children had to be placed residentially, I understand what happens when they come back, but not everybody does. And instead of giving out or saying wrong information, myself and the other council members, and I'm just going to now just even use me, we need to be able to understand correctly, because I do get contacted by parents from both sides. The problem is, as you see, I understand the difference. When you place a child residentially, it was also done in my family. And the transitioning that you have to do to go in whatever system it is not easy. I want also, though, the other families to understand that each of these children are on different tracks to come into OPWDD or to continue services. I got it, but I want to make sure I'm saying the correct terminology, because when you say the wrong terminology, what ends up happening is you cause more confusion than we should. That's what I'm asking for. I know the difference between the two, but I may be one of the few parents that gets it completely. But I do have families who I've had been screamed at, yelled at, how dare, and I'm not going there anymore. I want to just have facts and say, look, this is what it is. I'm sorry. I will advocate with you to get the right services for your child. But a child coming in residentially has to come back to New York State. And this is not my ruling. This is whoever makes the ruling. And that OPWD is doing a program to help make the transition easier is a great plan. But I should make sure I'm saying it correctly. That's where I'm coming from. I hope you also heard what I said, Lucy, too.
Yes, I heard what you said, and you're correct. I mean, the process are different if they're in the residential school. We actually have a team, the age out coordinators, that work with the family members as well as the residential schools to transition them back into OPWDD services. And I know that some of those residential placements are like out of state, out of New York. So they, that team kind of, they collaborate with the school when they're aging out and support them to bring them back. So you have regular people that are living at home, you have the front door facilitators, but the people that are coming from the residential school, they work with the age out residential school transition coordinators, and they are RSTC, which is different from the front door facilitators. So there is a process. We do have a process. I don't know the process fully, but I do know that, our staff, collaborates with the school. I mean, if that's something that would be beneficial, I don't know. Nina, do you think that maybe we can get somebody from the Agile to come into a presentation? Is that?
We can do that. We can certainly can do that. But yeah, and Deborah, if you have any specific concerns from a parent, just send it over, and we're gonna look into this.
Sure.
Okay.
I will do it way after the meeting only because I do have to, but I do have a lot already because since even though I'm retired as the parent member, you'd be surprised how many people call and text and email me. So I will not use anybody's names or on this, and I want to respect the HIPAA, but I'm glad we can talk about this after the meeting, set up a meeting where we can discuss it, because I'd rather give out correct information than wrong information. So,
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
we have Chris
Chris
Trieber on
Trieber is
now.
here, and he does have to run. Before I do that, Brian, do you have a question for the OPWDD, or you're gonna wait?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, just want to make clear. Anyone else have questions for Nina or Lucy? Nina and Lucy, can you hold on for a few minutes so we can get Chris Trieber? I can't hear you. Nina, can you hear me? You're muted.
Yes, I do hear you.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nina. Chris Trieber from IAC. I know I saw you coming in.
And I will be introducing Chris.
I was just going to say, Deborah Gripe, Chair Deborah, you want to do it? Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is I'm always thrilled beyond belief when Chris Trieber comes to our meetings. And parents, you don't know how lucky we are. We have Chris, because due to Chris Trieber's trainings for many years, myself and other families were able to learn the right way, in the positive way, to get the correct services. We're not saying everything is fantastic with the New York City Department of Ed, but to be able to know how to handle yourself in an IEP meeting, a school meeting, what's allowed with the IEP, what's not, and to be trained so that instead of being say, well, you're just a parent, be able to sit there and say, well, I'm just as an important part of this team. So without further ado, I want to thank the gentleman who has helped all us families with most important, our educational issues, Mr. Chris Trieber. Take it away, Chris Trieber.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Chris, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm
sorry
asking my
about
son to mute me.
Oh, thanks for the introduction. I'm sorry about the computer issue. So I can give you some updates in terms of kind of what's happening at the start of the school year. So what we kind of know right now in terms of our school programs is that many of them are still facing staffing shortages, and it's having a real direct impact on services to children. Really, at this point, excuse me, we just actually did a survey, and this is actually the first place I'm publicly announcing some of the data. We asked our schools again how many classrooms that are approved by New York State, meaning these are classrooms that should be open, that are authorized by state ed, that are currently closed because they don't have enough staff, or in some cases, they haven't received referrals for those programs. Right now, we have 94 classrooms closed in 4410 programs. If you estimate that those classes could either be 6s or 8s or 12s, you're talking anywhere between 600 to more than 1,000 kids who aren't being served because we don't have the staff to do it. And then for school age, which are the state-approved 853 schools, there currently are 57 school-age classrooms closed. That's the most I've ever heard. The majority of all the closed classrooms are in New York City, but there are some outside New York City. I haven't. I just sort of analyzed the initial data. I haven't broken it down to see which ones are New York City and which ones are outside New York City. But just on my preliminary look at this, most of those are in New York City. And to just give you a perspective, so those numbers represent data that we've received from only 30 of our preschool and school age providers. So on average, we have 87% of all of our programs have empty classrooms, basically, that should be open, but aren't because of staffing challenges. So it's still an issue, and it's a major issue in terms of impacting services to kids. Transportation is becoming more and more of a challenge for the schools in terms of managing. I haven't had actually as many sort of serious complaints so far this year compared to last year, so I'm hopeful that that means that things are improving a little bit, but I'm not totally sure where it's at. I think in a lot of cases the schools are, because the schools just opened, for not even, a few days, they kind of give it a week or two to kind of straighten out, and then we'll see where it goes. In terms of enrollment, most of the 4410 programs that operate small class sizes for children who need class sizes of 6s and 8s are all pretty much full. The class sizes right now that have open seats are probably class sizes for children who need 12, class sizes of 12. Sorry, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
We can hear you. You cut out.
We
for
can
a
Oh,
hear
okay. I
second.
just
you.
want
We
to
can
make
hear
sure
you again.
because the phone muted itself for some reason. I'm sorry. So that's sort of the start, and then in terms of just an update about COVID. So most of the restrictions and the guidelines that had been in place for our schools have all been relaxed. The State Education Department and the New York State Department of Health issued a joint FAQ and guidance about 2 weeks ago, and most of that spells out that pretty much the majority of the very specific requirements and restrictions have all been relaxed. The one thing, though, in New York City that we have been told is that the New York City Department of Health Commissioner's order requiring the vaccinations for staff is still in place because it hasn't been rescinded yet, and so that's still in play. We have some schools that are still requiring masks for staff and students, but I would say the majority are leaving it. They're encouraging it, but it's sort of up to each individual to decide. Just to give you an update, the Board of Regents had a meeting last Monday and Tuesday in Albany, and one of the pieces that was discussed, which is very relevant to our schools, is the authorization for remote instruction. I think you saw in New York City that there's no more snow days. The plan that has been approved by the Board of Regents is that schools must have a remote instruction plan in place. They must be able to demonstrate that they have surveyed all of their families to determine who has internet access and who needs any kind of computer device, iPad or computer device. Those are permanent regulations that were adopted for all public schools and BOCES programs and charters. However, for the 4410, the special ed preschools, and for the 853 school age programs and the special acts and state supported schools, they issued emergency regulations that then are going to require public comment. And we have some concerns about those regulations related to giving schools a responsibility to ensure that the children in our schools have iPads or computer devices. That should be the responsibility of the district who places the child in our school. So we're going to provide some comments and feedback on that. The status of the healthcare worker bonuses for the school staff. We are waiting for the portal to open. It will open in October. That's what's up on the Department of Health website at this point. And at this point, based on all of the information that we've read, we believe that if staff in our schools are eligible, it would probably be limited to nurses, mental health professionals, social workers, psychologists, and probably therapists. We had advocated to the state education department as well as the Department of Health to include teachers and teacher assistants, but they did not agree with that. So we're just kind of waiting for the portals to open on that. And then I'll just give you just a really quick snapshot. So we had a meeting last week with our education providers. They told us that the numbers of referrals for services are skyrocketing. More and more kids need to be evaluated. Right now, if a parent calls one of our evaluation sites, we're looking at possibly the beginning of November now for scheduling evaluations. So they're really getting backed up. And then the last information that I'll share with you. So in New York City, they have been moving forward with what's called contract enhancement, which is a separate contract with the preschool special education providers to basically provide what is provided in all of the pre-K for all programs and early childhood programs, which is 6 hours and 20 minutes of a program. 5 hours would still be special education with special education instruction. And then the next hour and 20 minutes would be this enhanced service. The majority of our programs are looking at possibly starting these services in January, and many have been having preliminary meetings with the Department of Education to review the budgets, make recommendations for revisions to the budgets. One of the difficulties with this at this point is that because our schools are experiencing staffing crisis now and their staffing challenges, one of the components of this contract enhancement is now to ensure salary parity for our teachers with all the other early childhood teachers in New York City. We have been fighting for this for a number of years, and we finally got, it seems like, an agreement. The problem is that the programs won't receive any of the funding until they start the services, and so that's kind of where we're at with this. If the majority of programs are going to start in January, that means that many of them will not be able to offer their teachers the enhanced salary parity until they start to initiate those services. So that's really really problematic for some programs. So we are talking to the Department of Education about that to see if we can get a little movement in regards to making sure that our teachers are paid the same amount of money as all the other teachers, so that our schools can at least be competitive in recruiting teachers and teacher assistants. The last thing I'll just share, because the Department of Health, DOHMH, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Bureau of Child Care, is now going out and visiting programs. Any of our preschool special education programs that at this point do not have a certified teacher or an individual who is approved under a study plan, those classrooms, in theory, can be closed, and those kids would have to sit at home. And we are concerned that there are classrooms where the schools have tried but do not have a certified teacher, partially because of the salary differentials and other things, and also because the Department of Education continues to recruit our teachers. Last week, a number of our schools lost teachers already. So there's a lot of concern around that. So we're working on trying to see if we can get some kind of emergency regulation consideration regarding the Article 47 requirements that are the child care regulations in New York City. So we're working on a few things, and I'm sure we'll be able to give you updates, in the coming month or so. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yes, Chris. This is hi, Chris. This is Chris. Before I ask Debbie and Brian, questions, just want everyone to know that we're asking people questions from you and Nina and Lucy. So I just want to let you know because we know you have a tight schedule also.
Okay, I'm good for a little bit.
Okay, but I just wanted to let you know because we know you had, and I'll mention the question in a few minutes, but before I do that, Brian and Deborah, do you two have questions before I open the question, anyone else, to give people time to raise their hand or put their questions into the chat?
No questions.
Thank you, Brian.
I do. Unmute me.
Yeah, you're speaking. We can hear you. Speak.
You can hear me? Oh, good. 'Cause
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me, Chris. I have been complaining a lot to certain press and reporters because one, you're saying 100% right. I put the blame also on de Blasio for doing the pre-K and universal pre-K because they were not prepared to handle our children, and the law they put in that limits that if a teacher wants to go back to us, they can. So if you can, I know you don't maybe have time to tell us, but even email me. What's advice would you give us to sell the press and other people and the elected officials so we can put pressure on to get things changed and so that our children, and most important, the teachers that can work with our children, be paid correctly?
Sure. I mean, I could probably send you some stuff. I mean, I think just really quick, with the final city budget last year in June, we had done a lot of very intense advocacy to try to ensure that there would be funding at the end of last year's city budget that would include ensuring that our teachers and staff in our schools would receive basically equal pay to what other early childhood teachers who are equally qualified would get, starting salary. As part of the contract enhancement, the Department of Education has committed to that. They are guaranteeing that any agency that agrees to be part of the contract enhancement, which is the additional services, is going to get funding to be able to offer their teachers, their starting teachers, equal pay. The challenge with that, is that some of our schools have teachers who've been there for a number of years. They're making more than the starting salary already. So that means that it's going to be hard for the schools to hang on to experienced teachers when they see that all the other teachers are making almost what they're making. But we are working with the Department of Ed on this, and hopefully, it will benefit all of the children in all of our schools. At least I can say finally that there's a recognition that, our teachers should be paid the same amount of money as all the other teachers. It's not equal by any means because the early childhood teachers usually don't work 12 months. They work 10. Our teachers all work 12 months for the most part. And you're also asking teachers to work an additional hour and 20 minutes. So there's a balance that schools have to figure out in terms of how much they can increase teacher salaries to remain competitive, and at the same time ensuring that they're going to have money to be able to continue to pay the teachers these enhanced salaries.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Chris, Chris and Nina and Lucy, there are questions for you in the chat. I'm going to start with the ladies first as courtesy, so I can. Nina and Lucy, one question that everyone this is a very important question that they're asking is, can a family email to find out when is the front door sessions? As well as if we want to speak or if we have to email or call, what is the procedure they're asking?
If they want to email, you know what? I can put the numbers in the chat. If they want to email, they can email me and I'll send them a schedule. The schedule is actually standard and is on our website.
And just to let everyone know this, and I'm raising my voice a little bit, so forgive me. It is also, the front door is also available also on our website as well. And just let everyone know that it doesn't just go from Brooklyn, it goes to all the 19 counties, same as the advisory councils. So that information is always on our website if you go into the OPWDD page as well. I think you agree with me, Lucy and Nina?
Correct. That's correct.
Mhm.
And I'm going to put the link
Mhm.
in the chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat or the
Thank you.
website address.
Thank you, Lucy. Chris, this is a question for you.
Okay.
What changes are the school buses? Because lately we're still having issues with school buses. And as you know, there is a group advocating for school buses because it seems there is a lot of issues between District 75 and non-District 75 as well. What is your expertise on this? This is what I'm reading to that person.
Yeah, sure. I mean, transportation has been a real serious issue. I think, you know, the way the DOE works is you kind of have to start at the school level, right? There's usually a transportation coordinator, and you have to have to kind of complain to them. I mean, you can go right to OPT. A parent can file a complaint. They issue a complaint number, and you can at least follow up on that, or you can give the transportation coordinator at your school the complaint number, and that's always helpful. I know that they, I think on their website, have put up information that you can track if the bus is late. I don't know if there's a specific issue around transportation, or is it just more of a general question?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. There is no other
Sure.
questions on the chat, but I just want to remind everyone, as Lucy put in the information into the chat, as well as Lucy's email, as well as the phone number, which is the front door, and that number is still the same number. Please, everyone, please make sure that families are putting that number in, as well as please give the courtesy to Lucy, Nina, or Angela Blaze, the courtesy. They will get back to you as soon as possible. But remember, we're not the only people. There are at least a lot of families and agencies. We get back to you. So I'm just reminding everyone right now. I think Brian will agree with me as well as Debbie. They'll agree. They'll get back to you as soon as possible. It's like the same way. Am I right, Brian and Debbie?
Correct, 100% correct, because we do try very hard to get back. We try to get the right answers. Maybe sometimes it may take a drop longer than we want to, because I would rather get the correct information than give misinformation because I rushed it. So I want everyone to understand that if we don't answer you, say like the same moment, it's also because one, we could be one running the meeting. Two, we're not sure of the answer or fact, so we rather get the correct answers for you or forward you to someone that can help you. So please be patient and work with us because we want to work together as a team. Thank you.
Brian, you agree what I said, what Debbie and I saying? And you're
Yes,
muted.
I agree.
No, I'm just making sure we hear you because you're talking very low. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Chris Treber, Nina, or Lucy? Wow, I'm impressed. Nina, Lucy, and Chris Treber, we thank you so much. But I do have a question for you, Chris, also, and I'm blanking myself. Chris, just to let you know, also in technology world, we have to be prepared for laptops, tablets, to be updated on their Wi-Fi, because as you know, Wi-Fi is changing from a whole different level, because you know it's very difficult because there's some buildings that go out, goes in, and at the same time, as you know, we're updating our computer softwares as well, and that's not just in the virtual as well, like, you know, Zoom, Ring Central, WebEx. It's very, very hard on this. So, and I know Carrie's going to have a question about the library because I can smell it from here by a 24-foot pole, but I will get you in a second. We just need to be prepared for that. What do you see with these tablets and devices on your point? And then I know I have a person's hand up.
No, sure. I mean, based on the new regulations that were passed, school districts are responsible to ensure that children are able to switch to remote instruction. They are supposed to be assessing every student's access to the internet or Wi-Fi, and also supposed to certainly ensure that they have a device that's available to them. I think the biggest challenge around this whole remote instruction thing is, in theory, you could go almost the entire year, and then all of a sudden, say, I don't know, February 7th, there's a snowstorm, and all of a sudden, everybody has to suddenly, take out whatever device they're using, make sure the Wi-Fi is there. I think it's a real challenge. And for New York City, I think it's going to be a really big challenge. They have to have a remote instruction plan. It has to be approved. It has to be posted on their website. Parents have an opportunity to comment on it. It has to be public. So that's starting in like 2023. So there's a bunch of requirements that will be put in place moving forward. I think in terms of updating the devices and all those things, I'm hoping, again, that the Department of Ed will ensure that whatever devices they give to families are regularly updated. But again, I don't know what their plan looks like yet.
Thank you, Chris. 2022, can you please identify yourself?
That's Carrie.
Making
Sorry,
sure because there's two 2022s. That's why.
This one is me with the hand raised, and I can't change my name every time I try. It kicks me out.
Don't worry about it, Carrie. That's why I just said 2022, but I was making sure I was right still.
Here I am. Chris, I have two concerns. I'm not sure there's so much questions, but
Sure.
And one good thing, the announcement that federally subsidized housing facilities are going to be wired for Wi-Fi. So that's by 2027, I think. That's real good news for this. But my two concerns are, first of all, in the last round of DOE giving out devices for students, they were counting a single cell phone in a family as the student having access to a device, even though there might be, that's something that the parent uses for work or takes to work with them. And there might be multiple children in the family. So that's a huge concern. They never fixed that. They never really addressed that adequately. So I'm hoping that going forward they do. And then my other concern is specifically about our students, and that's that they never made any provision for accessibility features for these devices. So they were giving them the technology, but not the assistive technology that they needed to use it.
Yeah, it was. I'll just be very honest. It was a battle for a while to honestly get the iPads. It was myself and Advocates for Children and some others that were just constantly calling the DOE because they left our kids out completely. Right. And then finally, we were able to start to get the devices, and I recognize that they certainly haven't made sure that things are accessible and all the other requirements to make sure this all works. Right. I think what I would suggest is that once the Department of Education posts their remote instruction plan, which they are required to do according to the new regulations that were passed, then people can make comments on those things. If it's specific to 853 and 4410 schools, we can make comments because the only proposal right now is going to be an emergency regulation, right? So they have 60 days from when they post it. We were told that they were going to post it on the state register on September 28th, but I didn't get a chance to look at the one that was just posted this morning. And we can certainly make comments. IAC myself intends to certainly raise some concerns around the language that is sort of being imposed on the 853 and 4410 schools that pretty much applies to all school districts. And we're not equal in any way, shape, or form in terms of funding or other things and access. So for the regulations to require that our schools must ensure that kids have devices, that's really not reasonable. And it really, like I said, it should be the responsibility of the placing district in terms of who has who has the requirements. But yeah, it says there's an emergency remote instruction plan that has to be included. I'm just looking at the regulation that passed, and it does have specific requirements around having to do a survey of the family.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's important to raise that issue, like you just said, that the survey should be really clear, that it should be accessed for each student and not a household.
Right.
Because like you said, I mean, they have one laptop for 5 kids. Okay, that's really not going to work. Or if they don't have the bandwidth to support maybe 5 children doing remote instruction all at the same time.
Yeah. Right.
That's really a good point that you raised. I'm going to make sure I put it in my comments.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. Paola, your hand is up.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, good morning.
This is also a common concern and concern.
Sure.
I'm concerned about how parents are going to be notified about those remote days for families to prepare, just because I know DOE is being, probably a lot of people haven't noticed this. They have not notify parents via telephone like before, automated telephone. And obviously if it's a snow day, it's no times for letters, which they're not doing any longer, and they're relying a lot on NICSA. However, most families have not signed on for NICSA. So I'm concerned that families, and they're not gonna know when it's gonna be a remote instruction day, prepare, because DOE, is allegedly notifying they be a NICSA. But if you don't have a NICSA account already, or you don't have access to NICSA, you're not gonna get those notifications. So that's another concern of mine.
No, that's another really really good point. I think in the guidance, it kind of talks about basically any emergency that would cause the school to close. And I think your point is well taken in terms of there's not going to be a lot of notice here, because what the language says is it says that schools would be closed due to an emergency, and then they mention extraordinary adverse weather conditions, hurricane, big snowstorm, whatever, impairment of heating facilities, insufficiency of water supply, shortage of fuel, destruction of a school building, or a communicable disease outbreak, obviously like COVID. And then it says the school or program may remain in session and provide remote instruction. So it is an option. It's not required because the language in the regulation says may. And I know a number of our 4410 and 853 schools have kind of already told me, because of, like the occurrence maybe happening once a year or something, they may just have the snow day because it's not required. However, if there was a hurricane, right, and they had to close for a week, that's a different story. But again, I think what's missing in this information is what happens if there's no power? Then all bets are off. There's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing, So while the remote instruction concept makes sense, I think they have a lot of work to do to ensure that, especially in New York City, that families have access to these devices. Like it was just mentioned about making sure that they're updated and they're usable, and that they can run, the most up-to-date program that the DOE is using. Like all of those things have to take place. And then the other thing, just so all of you know what it says in the regulation, is that the instruction has to be both synchronous, meaning a teacher has to be in front of that camera working with the kids, and there can be part of it can be asynchronous, but there must be synchronous instruction. So a parent wouldn't just have a video recording of a teacher all day. There has to be a live instruction with a live teacher, and that's required by the regulation. So I think once we see what the New York City plan looks like, I think it would be really very, very very strategic and smart to raise all of these individual red flags that they may not have thought about. And I took notes of both of your suggestions, and I will make sure that they get included in whatever comments the Interagency Council submits in response to these emergency regs. Excuse me.
Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to read something at the same time. Sorry. Paola, thank you for those questions. Chris, just the one thing I want to back up with Paola saying also, and I think you agree with me, during the snowstorm, once the state sets a state of emergency, and even I agree with you with power too, I don't know why they're following that rule, because I was looking at that rule and I'm like, that's not, and I just want to make it clear to everyone, Adams, it's not coming from Adams. This was from de Blasio that put that in, because I'm looking at something I found in my old notes here, because Moped mentioned this, and Moped does not like the way they did that, because they're forgetting about special ed students. They cannot travel out during that blizzard or the really, really low temperatures, because some of them could go in a cold blue asthma attack or much more. So we need to.
Chris, what you have to keep in mind is if a child is out, if the school isn't closed, the child is just absent. They're not going to like provide individual remote instruction to a specific student.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I was glad you said that.
Yep.
But thank you, Chris. Just want to make it clear,
Sure.
you know.
Yes. No, it was a good point. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, we, Chris, stay together.
Yeah.
I just got everyone laughing now. Does anyone have any questions for Chris Trieber? Then, Chris, I want to thank you so much. And I'll repeat again, thank you, Nina. Thank you, Lucy, because I think these reports were fantastic. And I think everyone will agree that this is oh, wait a minute, another hand raised. Please, 2022, do I think I know who it is?
Hi, Ellen McHugh, Chris. How are you? Good.
Oh,
hey,
hi,
Ellen,
Ellie.
how are you?
I don't know.
You mean the legendary Ellen
That's a bit of a
McHugh?
stretch.
Wow.
I have a question for Chris or anybody else. Are people going to be speaking at today's city council hearing?
I am scheduled to. Whether or not my voice survives, I don't know. So if I can, I will. I'm going to submit
I was
something
just
writing.
thinking the more
sure.
people that either attend or request speaking time, the better it is.
No, for sure.
Ellie, just to let you know.
The city council hearing is on meeting the needs of students with disabilities, basically like providing special education in New York City.
But it's a very general sometimes is good.
Hearing. Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
And just to add for you, Ellie, that information was on our website, and I did find out a lot of people have put in testimonies in. I know that I put it in onto Facebook and on the website on the news page. Because you guys always send me the information, so I do definitely want to thank you on that. So it was in there. And I know a fact that our percentage on our website was more higher than, we're not even the end of the month. At the beginning of the month, the number was so high, I think everyone was dying to read it. And I do keep track of our website very, very well. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ellen.
And it's good to see Ellen McHugh, the legendary. And does anyone else have any questions for Chris Trieber? Then I want to thank Chris again. And Chris, we will keep us in touch of anything you need us to do. And I think both councils will agree that we have to keep an eye on this school issue that still continues.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye. Okay, bye.
Now moving on to Deborah, can you please give us your update on the advisory update? And we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. Madam Chair, you just touched your mute button. Can you please unmute? Madam Chair, your microphone is still muted. You have to touch the mic. Now speak. Don't touch.
Okay, then
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good morning, everyone. I do want to thank Nina and Lucy because I appreciate that the LPWDD explains to us about new changes and updates coming. Chris Trepa, thank you very much. Ellen McHugh, good to hear your voice again and see you. I thank you all. It is very important that if we can't physically get to different meetings or hearings, we can email in testimonies. If you're not sure, our website can hook you into the New York City councils. They have a list of when their hearings are. Also, it's extremely important to keep in touch with your local elected officials. If they're New York City council members, see what committee they're on. And even if they're not on, say, an education committee, you still have a right to bring up the concerns to them, as well as let your state and federal officials know. The advisory council wants to let you all know that yesterday I was supposed to be in Albany with the rest of my statewide members in person. Problem is they want us to have a quorum of 10. Yes, I was willing to go, so I'm not taking no blame for this. I was willing to go even if I had to leave my apartment with access right to get a 7:15 train. I was willing, but we couldn't get the required 10. We're trying very hard to reschedule it for the middle to the end of October. We will do our best. What's important is I want everybody to know that, yes, there are changes coming up in OPWDD. Yes, I know there's a big issue in reference with reimbursement. I want everyone to know that if you're trying to file for reimbursement and you have issues, please let us know, and we will then bring the information to our local DDRO, but as well as upstate to let them know. There have been lots of changes, agencies. I feel for you, parents. We're going to have to become, as great advocates we are, we have to become even better, because it's very important now that when we do we ask for family support reimbursement, we need to justify and explain how it will help our child's disability. So I will also ask for not just nothing as agencies, but I also want a parental training so our families can be able to understand how to either, if they want to fill out the forms themselves or work with their care coordinators, they can do that. If we see that we should, then maybe we'll do a joint with the parents and professionals. But remember, professionals, I'm saying this, please understand, we're trying to gear it toward the families because it's our children that we are trying to get the reimbursement help for. We want to make sure our families really understand what changes have come down the pipeline. We also want everyone to be aware, as you know, in November, we can vote. Please make sure that you're all registered to vote, whatever party you're in, fine. If you want to vote in person, you have the right to. If you have your absentee ballot, do that. Because we need to let our elected officials know that we parents vote, our families vote, our children can vote. As long as they're 18 and above and you're born in the United States, you can vote and you don't have to speak English. So please, and if you need to use the ballot marking device, the acronym is B as in boy, M as in man, and D as in demand, BMD. Anybody can use it. It's a giant pencil. It just helps you be able to mark your ballot correctly so you can vote without a problem. The advisory council said we have our schedules up on our advisory council website. We also have our outreach. I appreciate everybody who participated with us last week on the Family Support Service Advisory Council. I'm not going too deep into it. I'm going to let Christopher Greif, who is the chair of that outreach, to speak about it. But I also wanted to let everybody know that we appreciate when you participate. I know it's not always easy, but we parents have to work together with the professionals, our city, state, federal officials, as well as work with OPWDD, OMH. Why? Because many of us have children with dual diagnoses, or if we parents may have the stress, because it's very hard to care for children with developmental disabilities, and we may need some help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. We will try to help everybody. With that, I am now going to turn it over to.
Let's make sure we have any people have any questions for you.
Sorry. Does anybody have questions for me?
That's why it's called. We got to be fair.
I got that. I'm prepared.
Yeah. Does anyone have a question for Deborah, chair of the Brooklyn Advisory Council first? And if you don't right now, you can always put it into the chat, and you can always, ask her that question anytime on the chat.
I want to bring up one thing I forgot. This past Saturday, the Transition Center on 64 Avenue X in Brooklyn, New York. I was there, had a great transition fair, but we were able to hand out information. We do have on the Advisory Council website all the dates and locations where each of the transition fairs will be at the schools. I apologize in advance to any of the religious agencies that the Saturday is their Sabbath, but I don't run I don't run the transition fairs. But if you need information, please let us know, and we'll see that whatever information you have will be forwarded to you. Again, anybody else have any questions for me?
Madam Chair, at this time, there is no questions for you on the chat, and no one has raised their hand. So
I appreciate. Thank you very much.
I only could say this for the record. This will be the very first time of all the meetings. No one has a question for you.
And by the way, if you all have type of whatever issues or subjects you would like for us to try to have speakers or have meetings on, please let us know. Also, if it's not convenient to always do it in the morning or afternoon, if you want to try to do it in the evenings, please let us know. We will try to accommodate everyone to the best of our abilities. So with that, Chris, Brian, who's next? You're welcome.
Unfortunately, Joyce couldn't be with us today, but pitch hitting today, now pitching Brian. And it's very hard to say his last name because I have to get used to it, so please do not shoot the messenger. Brian is our vice chair. Brian, it's all for you, sir.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a great summer. Just a couple of updates from the Brooklyn Council. Good news is our transition committee will be kicking back up. I know many of you in the past were used to Mary Christopher from the Board of Ed running the transition committee, but if you're not aware, Mary Christopher retired at the end of the last school year. But we had Heather Lifeland from the Board of Ed step up and is going to be taking over the transition committee along with Pilar Jones from AHRC. Their meetings through the rest of this year, through 2022, will be held remotely. And we will pass out the dates and post them on the website. I'll provide that to Chris. I just got the update right before this meeting, but the first meeting coming up with them is going to be October 20th. Again, these meetings will be remote. The first meeting will go over how the meetings will be restructured going forward, some housekeeping, digitizing resources, and networking. So please keep an eye out in your emails and on the website to see the dates and the Zoom information for when that will be happening and taking place. Another update, we are looking at, as the Brooklyn Council, planning a mini resource fair for the spring, sometime early in the spring. As things are starting to get back into in-person events, as COVID is slowing down ever so slightly, more vaccinations are getting out there, people are protecting themselves. We feel it's time, as everything else around us is getting into person, that we should be doing that as well. And the resource fair and the resource events are great for the families and the agencies to make connections and network, to know what's out there for people we support. So the one thing we are looking for, we've lost a lot of support and membership in the Brooklyn Council due to COVID and things shutting down for the last 2.5 years. So if anyone is interested in assisting us or helping to plan, has space ideas or space available that we'd be able to use for a mini resource fair in Brooklyn, please contact us. If you're interested in helping us plan the event or to volunteer at the event, please contact us. It would be very helpful for all involved. And then the last update we have, just I don't believe it was in the OPW update, but last week, OPW, the commissioner, Kerry Neifeld, provided an update on their revised protocols for the implementation of isolation and quarantine of individuals in OPW certified settings. Basically, this contains two major updates. It's updates regarding quarantining and isolation in certified settings, but the bigger update within it actually predates this update from September 14th in regards to masking in certified settings. And it's been a mixed bag, a mixed response, but basically in certified settings now, as of September 7th, we are not required as agencies, as providers in certified settings to require masking. It is up to each individual agency how they want to implement that. But as per the commissioner's update, the guidance supersedes all the following guidance documents. So the only exception is specialty hospitals, that masking would still be required, but masking is no longer required in certified settings. It is no longer required during transportation. Screening, I believe, has not been required for a while, but it seems like a lot of agencies are eliminating their screening protocols along with the masking protocols. And there was one other piece of this. Oh, and the distancing in the programs, all of those things that were put into place have been relieved. So while social distancing of 6 feet is no longer mandatory, we still try to maintain safe space and distance for others.
Excuse me, Brian, I'm trying to interrupt you. Excuse me, Brian. Can you raise your voice a little bit? Somebody just put in the chat. We can't. Your volume level is a little low.
Okay, I can try to talk louder.
I apologize for your interruption, but when you mention something that's very important, they want to make sure they hear you.
No, I want to make sure everyone has the information. So thank you for letting me know. I'm definitely going to try to speak louder. But again, so as of September 7th, masking is no longer required in OPW certified settings. But again, it is up to the individual agencies for what policy they want to put in place. And as of September 14th, there is new definitions and updated protocols for isolation and quarantine within OPW certified settings. This is available on OPW's website. It was sent out along with a memo from the commissioner of OPWDD. We can probably have it. I can make sure if Chris doesn't have it, we can get it sent out to the group, get it posted on the website so everyone can see the specific guidance as well. And that's all I have on behalf of the Brooklyn Council.
Brian, can you please, this is a question I think we all know. There's two questions. First, I'm going to read this first one. Then I know another young lady is going to ask me this question also. Can you please put your email address if they want to try to they want to join volunteer for that resource fair committee? Or should they send it to Joyce?
I'll put both of our emails in the chat so they can email both of us, either one of us. I mean, we're vice chairs together, so we're going to communicate on everything that comes through.
Agreed. And Madam Chair Advisory, can you hold 1 second? This one question, I think you like this question because this one is
Sure.
from our favorite person. Before we
Yes.
proceed, thank you. Brian, I am looking forward to continue to working together on the committee. Also, the Brooklyn Public Library has space available indoors or outdoor. And you know this is Carrie Banks, and her email's on the chat and information. And just for the record, as I know I mentioned this at the exec board. I know Deborah, Brian, you agree when I said this, and Rose will come vouch with me. We did some resource fairs, including the super outreach ones, which I almost cost Kings Highway Library a major fire hazard, but at least it did go well because even Moped loved the way I had everything ADA accessible. So let's keep that for the record. The Brooklyn Public Library, because I know now we have that answer, and I'm glad, Carrie, you said that. Carrie, do you want to add anything just for that question?
No, this is Carrie. No, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure that Brian knew I intended to still work with the committee and that we want to make BPL resources available. So thank you very much. And well, I don't know. Thank you for what, but I'm offering Brian. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
looking forward to it. Also,
Yes,
if you want
thank
to,
you,
if
Carrie.
you want the committee to meet in person, we can arrange that too.
Okay. Thank you.
That's something that's good to know, Carrie. Thank you. And I know, Deborah, you want to add something?
Sure. I want to thank you very much, Carrie, for the offer because it's important that we get together. But I also, just in case we have certain committees and certain members can't may physically attend, we need to try to work together so that the members
That did go through.
can
Sorry.
work remotely too with us. They can be on remote if it's like physically impossible, but we'll work on that too.
Of course. Yeah. No, I just wanted to throw the option out there.
And I hope we can stay indoors for one reason: weather change or pollen counts easier. Thank you.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian and Deborah, you have a question from Ellen McHugh, the legendary.
Much.
Ellie, go
Yes.
ahead.
Sorry.
It's a Brooklyn rule.
I know. Now he's afraid Kermit will get upset, come down from heaven and get him. Go ahead, Ellen. Sorry.
Hi.
Where are
You're
you,
muted.
Ellen?
Sorry about that.
Ellen, what happened? I want to hear what you have to say.
Question.
Where are you?
And this is
Now I can
because
hear
I'm
you.
ignorant on this. Mr.
Hi.
Rothenstein, are you a DOE employee? Heaven's hands, thanks.
I am not. I am the CEO of Heaven's Hands Community Services.
No, I wasn't sure when
And
people
Alan, just for
mentioned
the
Mary, I
record,
thought
I'm not a
maybe,
DOE employee
he
either.
had
I just
stepped
want to
in
put that on
as
official
her,
record.
her follow-up. That's all.
No, no, no. Brian is with Heaven's Hands, and he stepped up to the plate because we needed another professional to be the vice chair on the Brooklyn DD Council. Because as you know, Chris is the parent/individual vice president. I am the secretary,
Vice chair.
and vice secretary for the DD Council, but chairperson for the advisory. Just making sure everyone knows. Yes, I carry two hats, but I'm chair of the advisory. But thank you for asking. Chris, does anybody have
There
a
is
question?
no other questions at this time. Brian, you did the only one I actually just got one now. Brian, they actually loved your report as well as Deborah's. This is from that private group that doesn't speak English. They're saying thank you.
Tell them.
You're welcome.
Okay, if they do speak Spanish, muchas gracias.
No. Well, no. Asian.
Asian?
Yeah. You know the
Okay,
Asian group.
or doje.
Let's just move. Thank you.
I did it.
And Chris, I added mine and Joyce's email into the chat. So if anyone is interested in either helping in the resource fair and or being more involved in the Brooklyn Council, both of our emails are there.
Yes, there is.
And
They're on the
everybody
chat.
has
Duly
hours.
noted.
and everybody has ours.
Yeah,
So,
by now everyone should have our advisory email as well as the website. If you don't, then I'll show them after later, a little later.
and yes, the advisory council will be assisting the Brooklyn DD
Which
Council.
we all work together as one
We're
during this
team
COVID.
members.
Not so fast, guys. Before I thought I was going to move on, but Boris Khan.
My name is Doris Kahn. I'm an outreach coordinator for New York State Institute on Disability. Regarding the resource fair, will we be getting updates as to place, time? Will we be getting updates for that in our emails?
Yes. Yes. So
Yes.
we just started talking after the summer ended. When we reconvened, we just started making plans for it sometime in early spring. One of the things that we're hoping that we can learn from as we move back into person and get back to some normalcy is Queens DD Council is doing it fully in person next month. So
Right.
the hope is to see how that works out, how the response is being in person. And it'll probably be a smaller version than what Queens is doing, but to be able to take some feedback and advice from them to plan ours in the spring. So yes, as soon as we have information, dates, times, locations, anything like that, we will be
Thank
sharing
you.
that as publicly as we
Very,
can.
very necessary and long overdue.
Yes, but we're not allowed to meet in
Yes.
person.
I know
Because-
parents who go to different boroughs to get information because in Brooklyn, we didn't have a in-person fair. So they've gone to we had a fair in Staten Island. They went over to Staten Island. They go to the Bronx to get in more information.
Excuse
So
me,
thank-
Doris, when were those fairs? Because
Thank you, guys.
Doris,
Guys,
there
can I
was no
remind
way because of the
people,
rules.
guys, keep your microphones not 3 or 4 on, please, because I'm getting system echoes.
I asked a question, I want to answer.
I believe the Staten Island Fair was in May. I could send you information about that fair if you're interested.
Because all I'm bringing up is Brooklyn, everybody had ways of getting information from Brooklyn. Parents don't always avail themselves, and I do know that as a parent.
I'm just saying
The
that
other point is, we finished,
parents like to
that
go
we
in
could not
person.
meet in person. We just got clearances. The governor just said that we can meet in person.
Right, right.
So, it's not that Brooklyn was not wanting to do it. We do have to make sure we also follow the rules.
No, what I was trying to say, I'm glad that it's moving forward and that we're going to be doing it. It'll be appreciated. That's what my intention is.
Okay.
Right. Not saying that, oh, we didn't do it. We all know why we didn't have it.
Making sure.
Everybody's safety, which was very important. But now, if we're moving forward, we can have it. It will be a very welcomed event. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Deborah and Rose, since you two are both on the next part of the subcommittee, can you please give us an update?
You there, Rose?
Yeah, she's there.
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Rose, take it away.
All right, so we are trying to resume with the Provider and Family Information Committee. We have identified a few dates. We haven't identified any topics yet, but we are working on it. I am the chair along with Deborah Grice, and we're planning our next meeting for October 12th. So we usually meet the second Wednesday of the month, and we meet from 10 to 12. So please, if you know anyone, any family members, any provider agencies that have not been on this call, or if you are a provider agency, please, we encourage you to continue to attend this committee information meeting, because it's very valuable, the information that we provide and the trainings that we offer to our providers as well as to family members. So you are more than welcome to attend. And also, if you have any topics, like suggested topics that you would like us to bring to the meeting, please, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and you can feel free to email myself or Deborah of any topics that you would like us to have, or conversation or speakers you would like us to have during this committee meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry guys, I had the other screen. Here we go. Just to let everyone know, their next meeting is October 12th, and you know why I have it there twice, to make sure everyone sees it in 2 ways.
Thank you, Christopher. And please,
Yeah. I
everyone.
apologize, but when everyone's microphones are on, you guys just shot my other laptop out with the speakers. Now the speakers are shot out. So I have to, lucky I have a second laptop. So before I move on, does anyone have a question for Rose or Deborah for that committee? Brian, do you have a question for the ladies? Just want to make sure.
No, I don't.
Hold on. Okay, somebody, I'll have to check. Let me go on to my report. So therefore, because we're really running good time today, and I think we all agree on that. First of all, we did me as chair of the outreach update. We did meet on, and we did have a good attendance on it. And I thank Rose just putting her information on the chat, please. So everyone, please look at it on that question. And I'm going to answer some questions that somebody put in the chat that I might answer to this committee as well. To remind everyone that the outreach did meet. The next one is November 3rd, and I'm going to say to be determined of in or virtual. So I am going to say to be determined, because right now we're in September. We have October and November. So we got a little time, and that, as Brian said earlier, it will be emailed out as well as it will be on the website. So I second Brian's emotion on that one. On that. So just want to let everyone know that. Now, as Deborah mentioned earlier too, and I want to make it very clear to everyone, because some of you guys just want everyone to know that we do have a new phone number, and this is the new number. Please put that into your Bible, your books, your technology apps, and whatever you guys got to do on that. So please make sure that you are getting this. Now, the website is always up to date, and I remind everyone the website is always updated during those times. Always on Friday, and by Sunday it's all up to date, unless I'm checking viruses or making sure that all systems are 100%, because you want to make sure the website is working fine as well. Always email us, and as a reminder, everyone, we always put the meeting schedules on there. When you email us, you get a message right back at you on that. Now, we remind everyone, some of you has asked me this question. Please, guys, and I'm going to remind everyone, and I mentioned this question with Chris Trieber, please check your computers, because as you are aware, Zoom, Ring Central, WebEx have been up to date with new information. So please, everyone, please make sure you check all your software. Some agencies have already fixed, and I thank them very much on that. But we want to make it clear that the information is always up to date, and it's always on our news page as well. For example, as Deborah mentioned, District 75, that's always on our news page. The schedules of the schools and stuff are available. And anything that came up from OPWDD, or say IAC wants me to put something in, I will make sure it's up there, as well as in the main homepage as well. Now, as Deborah mentioned, as well as I know Brian or everyone else said it, please make sure you register to vote, and please check your ED as your districts, because as you're aware, they have been changed, because as you know, once you do when you do the census every 10 years, you know that your election district has changed. Please make sure you're registered. Now, if you're going in person, as Deborah mentioned, or if you want to do an absentee ballot, there's a new absentee ballot, as I've been mentioning this for years already. It's called an accessibility one. Once you put that information in, you will get an email, and the ballot will be linked to you, and you can print it out. You will get the envelopes, and you have the choice of bringing it to downtown Brooklyn or to one of the polling sites. Any polling site you want to go in your borough, Brooklyn. Please make it very clear that it's like a BMD, as Deborah mentioned. You still have that option. as well. And I do want to make it very clear to everyone that the BMD machines, which is a ballot marking device, which stands for B as in Bravo, M as in Mary, and D as in Delta, those anyone can use. So please use it, anyone. Like I can use it, Brian can use it, Carrie Bank can use it, anyone can use it. So please make sure that you are doing that as we're doing right now. The elections are very important. We want to make sure everyone has the right to vote as well. So I am making that very clear. Now, one thing everyone maybe I'm going to say this. Everyone may didn't realize, or maybe are realizing, because I know I sent this email out. Disability Pride Parade, October 2nd. Please make sure you register. The information is right here, and it's also available on our website news page as well as on the events and training page as well. So please make sure, if you're not going to march but you want to attend, please, more the merrier. If you're using Accessoride, they will set up a special address codes. It depends if you're going to 25th, where is Mask Park, or Union Square. There will be a lot of people there and using Accessoride. So you know that Accessoride will be running. Both stations are ADA accessible, except if you're Union Square on the 4 and 5 and 6 is not ADA accessible. So please make sure, and you don't have to tell me if you're going out of town, because that's not even worry. The reason they moved it to the fall, because as you know that we just passed Saturday, we celebrate the Riverbrook. So the Disability Pride wanted to try to do it in September, but they didn't have any space. So October is when they got the date. So let's not kill them, please. Now, another important thing, I'd like to make it clear, because this is for all agencies for the early intervention, and Deborah can vouch with me because she was with me when we did this, we were at this meeting at the MTA, which right now they're having the board meeting, but right now the subcommittee was on Monday. There will be some buses that they're brand new, they're this model, and you'll see that there will be a one stroller stand area for that baby area. Right now, it is a pilot, and I will repeat again, it is a pilot, it is a test, and I have to say that because people get a little over worriedness. So, want to let you know, these are the routes that you see that are running in that area. In Brooklyn, we have the B1 bus. In other boroughs, you see that it's the M31, BX23, the Q50 that goes into the Bronx as well and to Queens, the Q12, and the S53 and S93. Now, you know the S93 does go to the Staten Island College as well as the Riverbrook area. So anyone who knows Staten Island, please pass that word out to them. And this information will be available as of coming up next week as well. So I will remind everyone, if you see this logo and this sticker, this is not just for a baby stroller as well. The new seats area on the right will also let a walker also in as well. And very small part can count as a walker as well. And I'm reminding of small ones, because big ones not really on the bus unless a subway is down and they have a shuttle bus, then they can make sure they're in the back of the bus. So please make that I'm making that very clear as well. Now I am going to move on to the next thing, because we are getting close to the next phase soon. Some of our agencies, I want to thank you, and I do want to thank a lot of you guys who have been doing. We're up to 400%, but we still need to make sure that everyone is up to date. Please make sure they update their reduced fare MetroCard to choosing the Omni card, which could be a card or the app. Now, the information is available, which this way looks like, but on my screen it's different. We always ask for your name. If you have a middle name, that's fine. If you don't want to put, that's your choice. Your last name, date of birth, an email address. Now, if you have an email account already from Accessoride, you can merge that. The reduced fare number, which is under your name, please make sure you put it in. Once you do that, then you go to the final step. If you want the card, which is in the bottom, or the app. These two are the apps. That could be your watch or your cell phone. Please make sure you all update that individual or that senior as well. Now, does anyone have any questions for me? And I am going to look at the chat because right now my other laptop just went on me, so I have to fix that one. Let's see. I know that one person. Okay, I'm just going to read this one question from someone that just sent to me. Okay, Dolores, I'm not going to answer that question because that's a question that whoever's saying that question is incorrect. I am refusing to answer that question. The other question I am going to add also is, okay, yes, you can do the absentee ballot if you go into the BOE, where, as I said, go into the Board of Election New York City website for the affidavit ballot. There is one for accessibility, and there's definitely one there as well. So that's one. Okay. Sandy, you also Sandy, just to let you know, I'm going to read your question, and then we'll repeat this again. It's Omni, it stands for One Metro New York, OMNY. The answer to your question, yes, it will be adding to the train stations with the reduced fare location. Reduced fare vehicles. We'll be having them. We should have an answer by next month. You can also energize it at a store as well, or right on your computer. So say if a group home has individuals with their Omni cards already, they can energize it at those computers with their accounts. Once we're ready for step 2, we will show you how to deal with step 2. But right now, we need everyone to do step 1 question on that as well. I hope I answer any questions. Brian, do you have a question? Or Deborah, do you have a question?
No questions.
Okay.
No questions. Did you hear me?
Yes, I did. Okay. Do we have any elected officials here right now that have want to add? And if anyone has announcements, please be ready. Okay. Due to the fact we don't have any elected officials here, that we did have one was here representing. That was the Speaker of Assembly person. Did listen to OPWD and Chris Trieper's report, but he said it was very, very organized meeting. So I just want to let Brian and Deborah know that we did have someone here, and I just got their information just now. But they also encourage everyone to please let us know about any assistance that you guys need help with. Guys, heard me clearly? Thank you. Okay. Anyone have an announcement? This will be the time to please put your announcements. And to remind you, I know a lot of you did put on the chat. I thank you. Always make sure email us with that as well. Dolores Kahn, go ahead.
I have announcements. Can I make them now, Chris?
Yes, I just said. I just
Okay.
called your name.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Doris Kahn, and I am the outreach coordinator for New York State Institute on Disability, a family support agency. We provide free evaluations for individuals who are trying to obtain OPWD eligibility, for individuals who do not have Medicaid and reside at home in Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Staten Island. Please call Elizabeth Sunshine at 917-699-6457, or you can email Liz at esunshine@nysidinc.org. We also provide crisis management services in the Bronx for individuals and families who live in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. And you can contact Juliet Hawkins at 917-524-4856, or you can email Juliet at jhawkins@nysidinc.org. NYSED also provides reimbursement for goods who live in all 5 boroughs. For more information, contact Jackie Tripodi, Tripodi at 929-202-1115, or you can email her at jtripodi@nysidinc.org. NYSED also has tickets to venues for individuals residing in Brooklyn, Bronx, and Queens and Staten Island. And for a list of those outings and application, you can call Sarah Alton at 718-494-6457 or email Sarah at salton@nysidinc.org. NYSED also provides free transportation for medical appointments, and if you're attending one of the recreational outings that we provide tickets for, if you live in the Brooklyn, Bronx, and Staten Island. An individual can receive up to 4 transportation trips per fiscal year. Please contact John O'Grady at 917-747-9424 or J. O'Grady at nysidinc.org. Thank you, and I wish everybody a successful and good year. All the numbers, names and numbers are in the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dolores Kahn. Does anyone have a question for Dolores Kahn? Okay. Carrie Banks.
Hi, all. Good morning. Inclusive Services is back in person. We are gardening at the Flatlands Library on Tuesdays at 4:30. So come and see what's growing in our garden. This is, of course, a fully accessible, inclusive garden, and the programs are designed to meet the needs of children and teens with disabilities. That particular program is for individuals who are 5 to 12, 13, 14 years old. So please come and join us there. And we have our Navigating Disability workshops with Include NYC are now back in person. They're actually hybrid. So you can come and meet with someone at the Central Library. If they have meet individually with Ruth DeRoma at the Central Library. If you have questions about services for school, or you're having problems with the IEP process or just beginning the IEP process, need to know what's going on, as well as other services like DD services and how to get them. So you can, we can help with that. And that's in October, November, that's the second Wednesday of the month, and it is hybrid, so people can either come in person or they can give us a call and make an appointment, and we will talk to them on the phone. So please share that with families, and because I know there's a lot of people struggling with their services right now, particularly with DOE. So that's pretty much it for the library, but keep an eye out because we're partnering with different agencies to bring, including DOE, the Chancellor's Office, to bring new in-person programs for parents, caregivers, educators, and we'll be restarting our self-advocacy workshops and groups probably in January. So keep an eye out. And thanks for joining us at the library.
Carrie, I think Deborah Greif, Chair of the Advisory Council, has a question for you, and there was a question on the chat for you.
Okay.
Deborah, do you have a question for her?
No, only thing I will say is, Carrie, so glad that you were able to come back in person.
Yay.
Really glad to hear that. Yay. We know that your program, Inclusive Services, just want everybody to know that with Inclusive Services, you don't have to be recognized. You could be in the middle of the process to get OPWDD services, but you can avail yourself of the Brooklyn Public Library's Inclusive Services. Correct, Carrie?
Absolutely. And did I mention they're all free?
Yes, you
Um,
did. But let's
cool.
let's
Yes,
say
you did, because your words are here on his duty noted.
it's free, free, free. And I will tell you, parents and agencies or care coordinators, please have your families use this very great resource and service. It's extremely important because, not everybody, I know families who have one child may have a developmental disability, another could be having mental health or physical disability, so many. So there are major resources for every type of disability. So please take advantage of this. Thank you, Carrie. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
As I was just going to add, there is a question. 1 second, I'm sorry. Because people are going right in front of me with screens. Carrie, the question somebody's asking me is, are you ever going to do another resource fair again?
I hope so. We actually had plans to do a fair in partnership with the Department of Emergency Management in September, but that fell through because of their staffing changes. So we are planning to have a fair. It will probably be September 2023, and outside on the plaza as we usually do. So yeah, that's our next that's our target date for this. We are open to hosting and co-hosting both indoor and outdoor events. In the meantime, Chris, we'd love to do another resource outreach event like we've done at Kings Highway in the past.
And that's why I have November 3rd as to be announced, because we definitely I will discuss with you on the phone. It'd be better we discuss on the side, because I want to say to everyone to be announced.
Right, great.
I'm trying to be very careful what I'm saying, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and Brian, again, don't forget us for the transition fair and other Rose, if you've got something you'd like to do for the adults, that would be awesome too. So keep us in mind for hosting your programs. It's a nice, neutral place. We are not a government agency. We are simply a community resource and a center of all of our communities in Brooklyn. So and don't forget free internet and free computer usage. And okay, that's it. I'm done.
I can definitely vouch that, Carrie, for the record, because the last time before COVID, because it was in 2020, it was 2 years ago. The advisory council did their super resource fair, and you know how packed it was. Kings Highway Library almost caused a fire hazard, but guess what? You never know how many people are going to show up, and that we everything was empty, and they couldn't believe how we kept it clean. So all I'm going to say to everyone, and I agree with Joyce and Brian and Deborah, and as well as I am the vice chair, on the individual individual, we will make sure, and we are agreeing to do something to say Brooklyn is back, and we're New York tough. Ooh, that's a good logo. I should put that in.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
So Carrie, here's a second question for you. There is another question, and then I'm gonna make sure. This is the last question. Carrie, due to the fact you are doing workshops again and going in person, are you guys going to be doing it not just Grand Army Plaza, but other locations?
That's a really good question. We would like to do it in some other locations, and we've mentioned Kings Highway a couple of times here. We're a little bit hindered because we need locations that are close to accessible subways, of course. But we're open to doing other locations. To be honest, we don't get nearly the turnout that we do when we do things at Grand Army Plaza. So if you'd like to see something in another location, go ahead and send me an email about proposing the location and the event, and I will get back to you. And I apologize for my phone ringing in the background. I'll go ahead and put my email in chat again. And seems like that's about it. Does that answer the question? Oh, one last thing.
They said thank you.
Okay, good. Just to let you know that it's now easier actually to get to the Grand Army Plaza Library. Used to be you had to go into the one by the stadium, the arena, Barclays
Atlantic
Center.
Avenue, Barclays Center, or Bfssac Park.
Right. Well, yeah, but now there is a new accessible stop at the Brooklyn Museum that just opened, and that's on the 2 and 3 line. So it's much closer than either of those previous stops, and there is no transfer to the bus. So much easier to get here, and it's actually a really pretty elevator and stop too. So we're looking
For
forward to
now.
seeing you.
For now.
For now, I'll take what I can get.
For now.
Yeah, I'll second that emotion.
For now.
But either way, but Carrie is correct. Branomi Plaza is ADA accessible, and soon, Carrie will be excited for more surprises coming up soon, which I will say that in next month. But I will tell you I will say it later in my announcement. So stay tuned.
Is that 7th Avenue and 9th Street, Chris?
Something even better than that.
Maybe
Oh, even
not.
better.
You'll have to
Okay.
wait.
That's
He'll be saying it's
that's
big.
already being done. I already mentioned that, in
Oh,
June.
okay.
So let
All
me
right.
let me be fair to Sandy before she shoots me with a shotgun, which I know I'm just joking. Sandy, neighbor from Adapt.
Yes, I'm ready, Chris.
I know I
Yay.
heard you singing, and I heard it without the mic.
Okay. Well, I'm ready with great news. I'd like you all to save the date where Adapt Community Network is having a free live virtually Family Connect Summit on Thursday, October 6th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to be exploring many interesting topics. Some of them are advocating at the IEP meeting, strategies for success, what every parent needs to know. And our friend Chris Trieber will be doing that. So that's going to be really exciting. Another one is going to be a parents panel, how to be an effective advocate for your loved one with a disability. We're also having a session on mental health in children and adolescents, how to support your child. And we're also going to be having a session about positive approaches to behavior in children and adults. I want to let you all know that we're going to provide Spanish and Chinese interpretation. ASL will be available. This is all free, and I put everything on the chat. There's a link. If you just click on it, you could register immediately, and we hope to see you there. And also, I have a couple of webinars I want to tell you about. On Wednesday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., we're going to have Autism Speaks resources and the Autism Response Team. Andrew Nelson, the director of the Autism Response Team, will be speaking. You're going to find out all the tools and services available at Autism Speaks and how the Autism Response Team can help you. Spanish interpretation will be provided. And then on October 27th, we're going to have another free webinar, My Child Has Autism, Now What? Dr. Lorian Baker from the Child Study Center at NYU will be our speaker. For all our webinars, we have Spanish translation, and you can register by emailing familyconnect@adaptcommunitynetwork.org to receive the Zoom link to join. Thank you very much, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you, Sandy. There's no questions for you, Sandy. So let me move on. Paola from New York Lawyers of Public Interest, do you have an announcement?
I was just talking about reminding people who are new to these meetings that New York Lawyers for the Public Interest is a legal organization that provides free legal services. And if anyone have a legal issue that they want to bring to us for an assessment, I posted our main number 212-244-4664, or they can, they're not able to get on the phone. There's also online Get Help services, which is nylpi.org get help / I put it on the chat. So thank you, everyone.
Is there any other chat? Anybody else on the chat, Chris, or the have announcements?
Sorry,
Oh.
the noise level just went up. Paola, please stay on for a second. There's a question in the chat here. The group is saying they want to thank you very much because your organization helped them very much. So I just want to let you know that they just mentioned it.
Oh, thank you to the group. I'm very glad to hear. Thanks.
Not a problem. Let me just say, sorry, this. Wayne from My Time Inc. Do you have an announcement? Wayne, I know one of you is Wayne. I know you were there, and now you just left us. Okay, I'll pick on him later because he was bugging me. Let me repeat. Brian from Heaven's Hands, do you want to add your announcement?
Sure. So at Heaven's Hands, we have availability in both of our day hab programs with walls. We provide transportation. We have a program in Sunset Park, and we have a program in Brownsville on East 98th Street. So if anyone's interested, they can call 718-788-5252. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Before, does anyone else have an announcement? Please unmute and please identify yourself. If not, I'm going to make my announcement because I know Carrie's dying to know as well. Just to everyone know that the next RFP for train stations are going to be coming in. They were mentioned on it. I got the information, so it's going in. We should have dates soon. Now in Brooklyn, Carrie, you mentioned the F and G. That's already been that's already being built, and that should be done during maybe the end of the month, the end of the year. I mean, the next stations will be Sheepshead Bay on the B and Q, Church Avenue on the B and Q, right now, and Kings Highway. Those are the three that are listed for RFPs. That means the blueprints are being worked on, and sooner or later those stations will be starting to be doing construction soon. There are listed in other boroughs for RFPs in other boroughs, but if I mention all of them, we'll be here until next year. If you have a question, please put that in the chat, or please unmute yourself and identify yourself. Right now, we do have stations that are being built, and they should be done coming up soon. I don't have the date yet for the Williamsburg end, which is Loma and Metropolitan and Grand Street on the L, and G. So that's to be announced. And let me just check because the chat just popped in. Paola, can you please repeat your phone number, please? And we'll put it into the chat again.
Sure. 212-244-4664. And I'll put it in the chat again. Thanks.
Thank you on that as well. So just to let everyone know that we will keep an eye on these stations. If you have a question of a station that if it's going to be listed for the next RFP from the half of this year to 2023. Now note that we are behind schedule because of COVID. Okay, so work will be done. Don't have the dates yet, but I will keep everyone informed. Now I'm going to repeat for the last call because we're on time and actually a little early, but I like on time. Does anyone else have an announcement or a question? Please say it now and hold your peace. And before I say, Paola just put it into the chat, so please, everyone who had that question, this is her phone number. That's the website. And just note that her information is also on our website as well, on the advocate page. So since no one else has any announcements, questions, and it's going to be lunchtime soon, so I know everyone's going to get hungry or need to go where they have to go. So, Brian or Deborah, do you have anything to add before I end?
Nothing from me.
Yes, me.
Huh?
Yes. Yeah,
What?
unmute.
I can.
Can you hear me?
Okay. You
Can
can
you
speak.
hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I want to thank everybody who came today. I want to thank everyone who made the announcements and everyone who's agreeing to, or maybe not telling us now, but we'll be helping and working with Brooklyn, both councils this coming fiscal year. We appreciate it very much. And everybody celebrate. I wish everybody a healthy and happy new year. And thank you, Chris, for doing a great job holding the computers together. Thank you.
Well, just one. The
One's
other
better
one,
than nothing.
yeah, let's not go. Let's not. Just to remind everyone, the next meeting is the 26th, the fourth Wednesday, and remind everyone, the information is always available on our website, and you can always link to that link to automatically get on. As to remind you, the password is always the year 2022 until we get to the next year. And you can always make sure, please put your name in. Please just make sure you please do not rush, because we know that it's very hard, but please stay careful and safe. So we want to thank everyone. Thank you for coming. Please enjoy your afternoon. The time is now 11:57 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Meeting's officially ended.